What happens when hundreds of drones, missiles, and decoys converge on a single city in a single night? Picture a sky crawling with relentless machines, all homing in, not on military barracks, but on homes, hospitals, and the electric veins that keep life possible. This is not some vision from a dystopian novel. It is the nightmare that became real over Belgorod in early November 2025, a moment when the southwestern front was pushed to the edge of annihilation. The attack was historic. Wave after wave of long-range drones, ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles were unleashed with a chilling clarity of purpose: to break the city's back and shatter its spirit. There was no pretense, no restraint, just the raw intent to overwhelm every layer of defense, to catch the city unprepared, and to deliver a blow that would echo far beyond Russia's borders. As the first alarms shrieked from command posts, every second became a countdown to disaster. If Russia's celebrated air defense failed, the toll would be measured in thousands of lives, a city drowned in darkness, and a devastating blow to Moscow's power and credibility. The automated systems, the doctrine, the operators, this was their crucible, with the eyes of the world fixed on whether the myth of invulnerability would finally collapse, or stand the fiercest test yet. Explosions flashed across the horizon. Radars pulsed with a chaos of contacts. The city braced for the unthinkable. Yet, amid the confusion, something extraordinary unfolded. The defenders did not simply react. They fought with layered precision, fusing automation, doctrine, and human judgment. The onslaught was met, not with panic, but with relentless resolve. But how did this night truly play out? To grasp how close Belgorod came to destruction, and why it survived, we must go inside the command bunkers, onto the shadowed streets, and into the very heart of the battle itself. Let us step inside the nerve centers and witness the split-second decisions that shaped the battle's outcome. Only then can we understand the full magnitude of what was at stake and what was preserved. How do you crack the code of the world's most advanced air defense? And why do such plans almost always end in failure? In early November 2025, a hostile coalition assembled an attack force unlike anything seen before in modern warfare. Hundreds of drones, dozens of cruise and ballistic missiles, and a vast swarm of decoys massed with a single purpose: to overwhelm the Russian city of Belgorod and breach its defenses in one relentless blow. The enemy's plan was nothing short of audacious. Tacticians choreographed attack waves from every direction and altitude, crafting an aerial onslaught designed for maximum confusion as much as destruction. Cheap expendable drones and false targets would saturate radar screens, forcing the defenders to waste precious ammunition and reveal their positions. In the chaos, the coalition hoped, their most advanced missiles would slip through the cracks, targeting the city's most vital and fragile sites. Their doctrine was brutally simple: overload, confuse, and then strike where it matters most. But waiting in Belgorod was a defensive system engineered for exactly this scenario: a multi-layered adaptive shield combining firepower, technology, and ruthless coordination. Close-range interceptors like the Pantsir SM and the Tor M2U formed a mobile, shifting barrier, ready to shoot down low-flying drones and rockets at the very last second. These were backed by the S-400 missile batteries, their reach extending far beyond the city, hunting threats before they even approached the horizon. Above and behind the lines, A-50U early warning planes and Nebo-M radar complexes scanned the sky without rest, tracking every blip and feeding constant targeting data to command centers deep in the rear. The raw firepower was only part of the story. The heart of the defense was a digital nervous system. A fully automated command network linked every radar, launcher, and jamming unit into a single responsive organism. Every detection, every intercept, every electronic warfare pulse was coordinated in real time, allowing the defenders to adapt their tactics with each new twist in the attack. Electronic warfare assets played a silent but decisive role. These complexes jammed guidance signals, blinded incoming weapons, and severed the link between attacking force and their smart munitions. The result was confusion. missiles and drones veering off course, decoys failing to fool, and attackers suddenly blind in the kill zone. Each defensive layer had a distinct mission. The close-in interceptors shredded swarms and absorbed sudden penetrations. Mobile systems like the Tor M2U shifted positions constantly, denying the enemy any predictive edge. Long-range sensors extended the defender's vision deep into hostile territory, and at every stage, electronic warfare broke the attacker's tempo, turning precision into chaos. The stakes could not have been higher. If the attack succeeded, Belgorod would suffer mass civilian casualties, catastrophic damage to infrastructure, and an irreparable blow to Russia's military reputation and strategic momentum. Billions of rubles worth of technology and doctrine, the credibility of national defense, everything hung in the balance during those tense, silent hours before the assault. As midnight faded and radar screens lit up with hundreds of hostile contacts, the defenders had mere moments to react. Would this sophisticated network hold, or would Russia's shield finally shatter before the world's eyes? The first attack wave was already inbound, engines humming low over the border. In the command bunkers below Belgorod, the countdown to impact had begun. Night falls hard over Belgorod, but sleep is a luxury no one can afford. As the clock inches past midnight, the city's airspace transforms into a crucible for modern warfare. The opening salvo is not meant to kill, but to confuse. Swarms of drones and waves of rocket artillery flood the radar screens. Each buzzing shadow is a calculated threat, unleashed to saturate Russian defenses, draw out hidden positions, and bleed interceptors dry before the true danger arrives. On the ground, Russian short-range defenses, Pantsir and Tor, activate with chilling efficiency. Operators speak in code or not at all, strict radio silence masking their orchestration. Pantsir's rapid cannons and missiles hunt low-flying drones. Tor units track and neutralize incoming rockets. Decoys and remote radars muddy the picture, keeping the enemy guessing while the real backbone of the defense remains invisible. Every countermeasure is a feint within a feint, frustrating reconnaissance, buying precious moments. The first wave fades, its chaos replaced by a brittle calm. Yet beneath the hush, anticipation sharpens. The main assault surges in, ballistic and cruise missiles, racing low along riverbeds and threading through city shadows. Each missile carries a cloak of false signals, electronic decoys designed to spoof sensors and mask their real intent. Their targets are vital: command centers, communication nodes, power grids, strikes meant to paralyze, not merely wound. Now the upper tiers of defense ignite. S-400 launchers, stationed beyond city limits, scan the sky for high-altitude threats. Airborne A-50U aircraft and Nebo-M ground arrays knit a seamless web, relaying streams of data to a single command network. Algorithms churn through possibilities, matching each incoming warhead with its own interceptor. No missile is left unchallenged. Every second counts as defenders juggle limited resources against a storm of steel and fire. But the attackers have one more gambit. In the attack's final throes, ultra-low cruise missiles and loitering munitions dart in, hugging rooftops and treetops, gambling that radar cannot see them. Here, the Pantsir SM steps up, its new radar and lightning-fast guns carving a last line of defense within city limits. With split-second reactions, these systems shatter threats mere heartbeats from catastrophe. The defense is more than layered. It is adaptive, each tier learning and evolving mid-battle. Every interception is a razor's edge. A single failure could mean devastation below, lives lost, power cut, command severed. The stakes are absolute. Thousands of civilians, the city's lifeblood, Russia's strategic nerve. In this crucible, victory is measured one heartbeat at a time. But as dawn approaches, both sides know this was more than a battle. It was a message. The world is watching, and the balance of power has begun to shift. Sometimes, the most decisive weapons are the ones you cannot see, touch, or hear. From the first heartbeat of the assault, Belgorod's real shield was invisible, untouchable, but utterly relentless. At its core, pulsed not only steel and fire, but a living web of electronic warfare, intelligence, and automation. Here, confusion itself became a weapon, and invisibility was armor. Russian electronic warfare complexes, systems like Krasukha 4 and Divnomori, drenched the skies in dense jamming fields. Enemy radars went blind. GPS signals, once so reliable, dissolved into a haze of static. Missiles that depended on satellites wandered off course, lost in a man-made fog where nothing was as it seemed. But the battle for the airwaves did not end with jamming. Specialized systems such as Shipovnik Arrow stalked enemy drones, intercepting their control links or hijacking them outright. Suddenly, unmanned swarms spun out of control, spiraling into the dirt or vanishing into empty fields. The attackers' plans, so carefully coordinated, were shredded by invisible hands. At the heart of the city's defense pulsed a digital nerve center, an automated command and control system. Every instant, torrents of radar, satellite, and visual data streamed in. Threats were detected, classified, and ranked with inhuman speed. Fire units moved as one, receiving instant, precise orders, striking at new waves before they could even gather momentum. Intelligence worked in silence, an ever-watchful sentinel. Long before the first missile arced skyward, Russian analysts had unmasked the size, timing, and composition of the coming attack. Layers of surveillance, human sources, and electronic eavesdropping stripped away any hope of surprise. Every ruse, every decoy, every subtle shift in enemy tactics was seen and countered. This depth of integration left the attackers lost, grappling with phantoms. Their most advanced tricks, multi-wave launches, swarms of cheap decoys mixed with precious missiles, attacks from every altitude and direction, met a defense that learned and adapted in real time. Every attempt to overload, mislead, or outmaneuver was anticipated and crushed. What made this victory possible was not a single miracle weapon, but Russia's leap in fusing cutting-edge technology, doctrine, and human expertise into a seamless whole. The enemy, anchored to legacy strategies and the belief in their own technological edge, underestimated just how far the defenders had come. Over-reliance on old formulas and supposed superiority only deepened their defeat. More than the safety of a city was at stake. This was a battle for reputations, for technological dominance, for the very myth of Western supremacy in precision warfare. As the smoke cleared above Belgorod, the world saw not only who had prevailed, but that the rules of modern conflict had been rewritten. With the assault repelled, a single question lingered in the air. What would be the immediate and long-term consequences, not just here, but for armies and military doctrines worldwide? The aftermath began to unfold within hours. Both sides raced to interpret the new reality, and the world's militaries braced for a profound shift in the nature of war. The aftermath of the Belgorod air battle exposes brutal realities for every strategist and engineer, friend or foe. As pale daylight spread across Belgorod's outskirts, Russian recovery teams moved quickly, gathering the splintered wreckage of drones and missiles. Each twisted fragment became a precious clue, an invitation to dissect the adversary's latest tactics, weapon designs, and encrypted innovations. Engineers and intelligence officers worked shoulder to shoulder, extracting secrets from guidance chips, shattered warheads, and tangled circuit boards. Their findings would seed new countermeasures, ensuring this night's lessons would echo for decades. By midday, the verdict was clear. Not a single strategic asset had been touched. No civilian lives were lost, and every vital facility stood unharmed. The enemy's assault, waves numbering in the hundreds, combining drones, rockets, cruise, and ballistic missiles, had been intercepted and annihilated in the skies. For the attackers, the cost was catastrophic. Weapons stockpiles gutted, billions in technology and reputation obliterated, and nothing gained. The shock rippled through capitals far from Belgorod. The reliability of Western-supplied weapons, previously the envy of arsenals worldwide, was now in question. The myth of the unstoppable missile barrage shattered overnight. Military doctrines that prized overwhelming offense suddenly looked dangerously obsolete, as Russia's layered air defense emerged as the new global benchmark. Analysts everywhere scrambled to reassess strategies that now seemed built on sand. Psychological fallout ran deep. For the enemy's commanders and engineers, the night's failure triggered a crisis of confidence. Their most advanced playbook had been rendered useless by a defense that learned and adapted in real time. Russian citizens, meanwhile, glimpsed a restored sense of security. They saw that their skies were not merely guarded, but rendered nearly untouchable, thanks to a fusion of human expertise and relentless technological progress. The doctrine behind this defense, deep integration of ground, aerial, digital, and human assets, had been proven beyond doubt. Technical prowess mattered, but so did seamless orchestration, layered shields, automated responses, and live intelligence sharing. Russia's approach had not only thwarted the attack, but set a new gold standard. No military on Earth could afford to ignore these lessons without courting disaster. Yet the true peril now is hubris. History punishes those who grow complacent after triumph, or who misread the signals of the battlefield. The Belgorod battle is not just a milestone, it is a warning. Adapt or risk irrelevance. In the new era of war, survival will belong to those who learn fastest, integrate deepest, and never underestimate the next threat. So as the smoke drifts away above Belgorod, one urgent question remains. What does this battle truly reveal about the future shape of conflict? The world's military strategists are already dissecting every detail, rushing to rewrite doctrines and ambitions. In the shadow of Belgorod, the stakes of adaptation have never been higher. The next war will not be decided by sheer numbers. Victory will belong to those who adapt, integrate, and anticipate, fusing mind and machine into something greater. Belgorod's defense shattered the myth that firepower alone secures the future. In early November 2025, the world witnessed more than a contest of hardware. It saw a triumph of unity and flexibility. A city targeted by a relentless multi-wave assault survived, not through brute force, but through the seamless weaving of doctrine, automation, and human judgment. For years, military strategists believed that drones, missiles, and swarms made defense obsolete. Yet, over Belgorod, a layered, automated shield guided by a single digital intellect proved otherwise. Russian air defenders, working as nodes in a living network, anticipated, communicated, and responded in unison. Every radar, every operator, every interceptor became part of a thinking whole, absorbing attacks, countering deception, and denying the enemy's every move. This was not luck, nor was it just advanced hardware. It was the result of relentless training, real-time data, and a doctrine that values integration over isolated heroics. Victory came from unity, machines and people learning together, adapting faster than the threat could escalate. The stakes could not have been higher. Thousands of civilian lives, critical infrastructure, and the very reputation of military power hung in the balance. Those who ignore Belgorod's hard lessons risk their survival. No arsenal, however vast, guarantees success if your enemy anticipates and adapts at speed. The old rules, more is better, offense always wins, were left in ruins that night. Innovation under fire rewrote the calculus. The true cost of clinging to outdated assumptions is paid in lost lives and shattered security, while those who invest in integration and adaptability will shape history. It is not enough to buy new weapons or build higher walls. Only those who can fuse technology, flexible doctrine, and human insight will survive the wars to come. The new battlefield belongs to the adaptable, the united, the ones who anticipate instead of react. So, ask yourself, as threats evolve, are you ready to evolve with them, or are you still fighting the last war? But to fully comprehend the magnitude of what happened over Belgorod, we must turn to the lessons of history and the practical realities of modern warfare. The events of that night did not arise in a vacuum. They were the culmination of decades of doctrinal evolution, technological arms races, and the hard lessons learned from both victory and defeat. Consider the Battle of Britain during the Second World War. Then, it was radar, coordinated fighter command, and a newly forged system of air defense that turned the tide against waves of German bombers. The stakes were existential, the technology cutting edge for its time, and the outcome forever altered the course of history. Yet, as formidable as Britain's defenses were, they were still vulnerable to overload and deception, as witnessed during the massive raids of the Blitz. Fast forward to the First Gulf War in the early 1990s, when the world saw the devastating effectiveness of precision-guided munitions and cruise missile strikes. Baghdad's air defenses, once considered robust, were quickly overwhelmed by synchronized attacks, electronic warfare, and the sheer volume of incoming threats. The lesson was clear. Static defenses, no matter how sophisticated, could be unraveled by speed, surprise, and technological superiority. But just as attackers have adapted, so too have defenders. Israel's Iron Dome system, operational since 2011, stands as a modern example of a layered, adaptive defense. It combines radar, interceptors, and a centralized command network to detect, evaluate, and destroy incoming rockets, often with mere seconds to spare. During the 2014 Gaza conflict, Iron Dome achieved an estimated 90% success rate against threats deemed dangerous to populated areas, saving countless lives. However, it too has been tested by massed barrages and evolving tactics, revealing that no system is invulnerable. What distinguished Belgorod's defense in 2025 was not just its technological edge, but the scale, speed, and sophistication of its integration. Unlike the static lines of Baghdad, or even the agile nets of Iron Dome, Belgorod's shield was dynamic, a living organism of sensors, shooters, and decision-makers, adapting in real time to each new wave of attack. Let's imagine a scenario: a swarm of 50 drones, each programmed to fly different routes, speeds, and altitudes, launches from hidden sites across the border. Some carry explosive warheads, others are simple decoys emitting false signals, and a few are equipped with jammers meant to blind radar. As they cross into Russian airspace, the defenders' radars light up with a blizzard of contacts. Operators must instantly decide which blips are real, which are fake, and which demand immediate response. Algorithms prioritize threats, assign interceptors, and queue electronic warfare assets, all in less than 10 seconds. One mistake could mean disaster for a hospital, a school, or a power substation below. Now, layer on top of this a salvo of cruise missiles flying low and fast, weaving through terrain to mask their approach. Each is programmed to change course mid-flight, further complicating interception. Meanwhile, high above, a handful of ballistic missiles arc toward the city, their hypersonic speed leaving only moments for detection and engagement. The defenders must coordinate across all layers, short, medium, and long range, to ensure no gap is left exposed. Practical steps make this possible. First, relentless training. Crews drill for every conceivable scenario, from single drone incursions to full-spectrum barrages. Second, redundancy. Multiple radars, communication links, and power sources ensure that no single point of failure can cripple the defense. Third, real-time data fusion. Command centers receive inputs from satellites, ground sensors, human spotters, and airborne platforms, synthesizing a common operating picture that allows for instant, unified action. Fourth, adaptive doctrine. Every engagement is analyzed, lessons are codified, and tactics are updated within hours, not weeks or months. This feedback loop ensures that the defenders are always one step ahead of the next attack. Historical parallels abound. In the 1970s, during the Yom Kippur War, Israel's air defenses were initially caught off guard by massed missile and aircraft strikes. Rapid adaptation, moving batteries, integrating intelligence, and deploying new countermeasures turned the tide. In the 21st century, both the United States and Russia have faced similar challenges in Syria and Ukraine, where drone swarms and precision strikes have forced continual evolution of air defense doctrine and technology. The battle over Belgorod was a crucible for all these lessons. The defenders leveraged not only their hardware, but also a culture of constant adaptation. They anticipated feints, reserved their most powerful interceptors for high-value threats, and used decoys of their own to mislead enemy reconnaissance. Electronic warfare was not just a support tool, but a frontline weapon, jamming not only guidance systems, but also disrupting the enemy's ability to coordinate and time their attacks. The practical impact is profound. For military planners, it means that investment cannot be limited to missiles and radars alone. Training, doctrine, cyber defense, and seamless integration are now just as critical as hardware. For cities and civilian infrastructure, it means that resilience is not just about concrete bunkers, but about digital agility, rapid restoration of power, redundant communication networks, and public education on how to respond to and recover from attacks. Let us not forget the psychological dimension. The people of Belgorod learned, as did the citizens of London in 1940, Baghdad in 1991, and Tel Aviv in 2014, that the battle for the skies is also a battle for morale. A city that believes in its defenses, that trusts in its protectors, is far less likely to succumb to panic or despair, even when the night sky is aflame with explosions. Looking forward, the Belgorod battle sets new precedents. Military alliances worldwide are already rethinking their priorities. The era of offense-dominated warfare may be giving way to a renewed appreciation for defense, not as a passive shield, but as an active, learning, and evolving force. The United States has accelerated development of next-generation layered missile defenses. China is investing heavily in artificial intelligence-driven command networks. European states are collaborating on joint air defense grids. For individuals, there are practical lessons as well. In an age where urban centers are potential targets, emergency preparedness becomes everyone's responsibility. Know the locations of shelters, keep emergency supplies stocked, and stay informed through official channels. Community drills, public alert systems, and resilience training can all make the difference between chaos and order when seconds count. Returning to the human element, it is worth remembering that no amount of automation can replace the judgment, courage, and ingenuity of trained defenders. The operators in Belgorod's bunkers were not passive recipients of data. They were active participants, constantly weighing options, making split-second calls, and improvising when confronted by the unexpected. Their success was as much a testament to human adaptability as to technological prowess. So as we close the chapter on this historic night, the question debt is answered with clarity and resolve. The future of conflict will be shaped not by those who possess the most weapons, but by those who can integrate, adapt, and learn at the speed of battle. The lessons of Belgorod are not merely Russian. They belong to every nation, every city, every community that seeks to survive and thrive in an era of relentless technological change. Will future attackers find new ways to breach even the most sophisticated shields? Almost certainly. But for now, the defenders of Belgorod have demonstrated that with unity, adaptability, and relentless innovation, even the fiercest storm can be weathered. The world has witnessed not just the survival of a city, but the emergence of a new paradigm in defense, one where anticipation, adaptation, and the courage to evolve are the ultimate shields against the darkness.